Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I'm Lupine Fiasco, this is Daily Kayo Gameplay, and we have our first Kayo mirror. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago after enough time has passed, that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, then compare that to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future, to take down paper events like the upcoming Road to Nationals, and most importantly, walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, the FaB deck link is available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily Kayo gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you'd like to go above and beyond, then the best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the daily FaB gameplay Discord. At higher tier levels, your name will appear in every DKG video, you'll get bonus DKG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily Kayo gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about our sideboard and about our Kayo game plan. We are continuing our tear through meta heroes with Daily Kayo Gameplay's first mirror. We all know well enough how our deck works, so I won't bore you by listing the threats in that deck. You might find it strange that we are still on Tunic in the mirror, but I do think that it really is higher value than Hardened Crossstrap. This matchup has the potential to go long, so working a few extra claws into our turn cycles can be the difference between taking a critical card out of our opposing Kayo's hand. I also can't overemphasize the importance of one more point of life when your opponent is almost assuredly playing Reckless Swing. Knowing the power of an agility token in Kayo, we have cut our clashes to make sure that we aren't giving any agility to our opponent. And because we're going lower on our agility production, we are going down a copy of Runner as well. Wild Ride is potential liability for its lack of block value, but we want more Go Again to compensate for cutting our clashes. Finally, Humble is a card that I'm testing against Kayo and a few other heroes. Turning off Kayo's ability to make a Might token is valuable on its own, but the real upside comes when Kayo's 5 power attacks stay at 5 power. For example, the list I'm running here has 17 5 power attacks, all of which are misses for Pulping and Wild Ride when our hero is humbled. I'm not sold on Humble as being better than Smashing Performance, and we just saw 2 dashes make the top 8 at Battle Hardened Liverpool this last weekend, so I'd say to give it a try for now, but don't be surprised if you load up my list this week and it isn't there. 2 blocks that don't work with Bloodrush Bellow generally aren't long for this world. But let's ready up and see which Kayo is truly more dangerous. We lose the die roll, and we will be going first in this game. Our Kayo has correctly realized that we really want tempo, and putting us first is a bad way for us to get it. That said, Assault and Battery in the opening hand is one of the best cards that we can have, so we are going to play it. We are going to beat our chest. We are going to make our Might and an Agility and put a Bare Fangs into Arsenal. So off to a very good start. We take 2 windups from our opposing Kayo, which means that he likely will not start with any tokens on his side of the board. Drawing into kind of a weird one here, double windup plus Cast Bones and Command and Conquer. Kayo is just coming at us with 6 vanilla damage, which we are very likely going to take. For my turn, what I would like to do here is attack with Command and Conquer for 7 with Go Again, discard our Agile windup to make an Agility and a Might, then play Cast Bones. I think that gives us the most value out of this hand. There is consideration for blocking with Cast Bones, which lets us play Bear Fangs from Arsenal with agility, but I really don't think that is that good. This does change a bit now that Kayo is not going to have an Arsenal, and I really don't want to take all of this damage from Swing Big. So I think what I would want to do here is block with Command and Conquer, then play a windup by pitching a windup, then play Cast Bones, and that gets us our most value this turn, assuming that Cast Bones hits, and we just do assume that Cast Bones is going to hit. Cast Bones, at least in my thinking, is like Ravenous Rabble in FaB. Yeah, there's absolutely a chance that you miss and you don't reveal a red and your Rabble doesn't do the thing you want it to do, but we can't think of it that way. We have to assume that it's going to hit, or else the card is not worth playing in the deck. So if I'm making this decision now, that's what I'm doing. I'm blocking 3, I'm taking 5, I'm attacking for 6, and I'm playing Cast Bones. There is consideration for blocking with Bonebreaker because we are blocking with a 6-power attack. But as I'm learning as I go through these games, I'm giving up too much late game value by blocking with Bonebreaker, because I put myself into these positions where I'm getting my value early and that feels great. And then Kayo sends packing Command and Conquers for 8, and now I have to lose my arsenal or give up multiple cards from hand, where had I just kept my armor, I can block that 8-power Command and Conquer or send packing with 1 card from hand and 3 pieces of armor, and then have a really strong follow-up to that. So I do like not giving armor here. You see that I choose to instead. Overall, I think I'm misplaying this turn, and you'll see what my thought was. Playing Bear Fangs, over pitching so that we come in for 10 with Go again, make our Might, and follow up with Claw is good. It's high value. We are getting 14 points of value off of these cards. But I'm just thinking about how now we don't have armor, and we didn't play Cast Bones, and we don't have an arsenal, and we see that Kayo did have a Command and Conquer in hand, which he might have been more inclined to keep if he knew that we were going to arsenal something. But now our turn is a lot weaker. We drew into a runner, but we don't have an agility. We have these 2 send packings that we can't really get as much value out of, so we just put ourselves into a weaker position. We see that we had 4 hits on top of our deck, and we can assume, based on our deck stats, that we have 2 more that would have had our Cast Bones hit. And if we imagine that we have agility here and a card in Arsenal, I mean, this turn is nuts. That said, this turn is still pretty good. We are getting blocks from Kayo. We are keeping him off of value. We are getting high value turn cycles of our own. Kayo correctly playing his Cast Bones and hitting. We see, based on the Command and Conquer that we discarded on our last turn, and this send Savage Instinct, Smash Instinct on top of our deck, our Cast Bones would have hit. So really just demonstrating the power of Cast Bones here, in case you didn't already know. The card is very good. Our follow-up to this is just going to be Wild Ride, pitch a blue, see what happens. We would like to hopefully keep Kayo off of a 5-card hand. It seems unlikely. We will Tunic here, play our Swing Big, and Arsenal Savage Feast. Without an agility, it's a lot less good. Notably, had we had agility on our last turn from Cast Bones, our runner would have given us the agility for this Savage Feast. Enemy Kayo coming in with the 12-power runner that makes the agility. We are going to snap FaB here to make sure that Kayo's follow-up to this is not very good, as we just need a little time. Just coming in with Wild Ride for 6, that does make a might. I'm thinking that I would like to discard this windup at the end of Kayo's turn so that I can get Savage Feast value. My ideal turn cycle here would be Savage Feast for 7 with Go Again, make a might, then play Humble. We're really hoping that we don't discard the Humble to the Savage Feast, but that means that I am not blocking this Wild Ride. I think giving Scab Skins here is absolutely a mistake. We are really just opening ourselves up to getting hit by a 7-power Command and Conquer or Send Packing, and we didn't block any on hits. Not that Kayo really has on hits, but that just means that the few he does have are even more impactful. Choosing not to discard the windup here is not something that I entirely understand. We do discard our Humble, which is a shame. But I think opening with the Savage Feast would have been a better line, so I'm not entirely sure. That said, this is coming for 7 with Dominate. We do get the FaB. We don't have an Agility. We don't have a great follow-up here. I think Savage Feast is the best that we can do given the circumstance. We are 1 resource short of being able to discard our windup to make an Agility and then Claw. Thankfully drawing into a Wild Ride with Double Blood Rush, and here is where we see how we are getting screwed by having given our armor earlier. Let's imagine that Kayo is at 14 because we didn't make a might from blocking with Bonebreaker, and we are at 15 because we didn't block with 2 block pieces of armor. Now we can block 5, and now we block with all of our armor and one of our Blood Rush Bellows from hand. We cover the Command and Conquer damage, and on our turn we have a 4-card Blood Rush Bellow with a Wild Ride in Arsenal. As it is, we're just going to take this damage. We're also not taking 8 because we were able to block out this Command and Conquer. Just putting ourselves in a bad position by blocking with armor early. So imagining here that we would be at 15, that we would not have this Mighty Windup in our hand, and that we would have a Wild Ride in Arsenal, lets us come in with Wild Ride first, floating an additional resource, hopefully keeping a blue. We're just seeing how our turn is less good because of our earlier decisions. Bearfangs is going to force Kayo to do some blocking. We are going to discard this windup in order to make an Agility. No, never mind. I do see value in arsenaling this because we're assuming that we're going to have to block on Kayo's turn. This is a 15-power Bearfangs that is very likely followed by a 3-power Mandible Claw. So if we're looking at 18 total damage this turn, we need to block at least 8 of it. At this point, we can start giving armor. We do not have Go Again, but we do have a blue and a Humble. So what I would like to do is block this Bearfangs with Bonebreaker, Leathers, Savage Feast. We make our might. We'll hold our Cast Bones just in case Kayo is sitting on another 2-cost 6 that we would need to put something in front of. But if it is just Claw, then we will block that with Cast Bones. Choosing to block here, I think is a mistake, but isn't such a huge one. It is in fact just claw. We would be at 1 regardless, and there is a little consideration for not going to 1 here. Obviously, Brute has Reckless Swing. I think we are behind enough in this game that we do need to take a chance, but I also think that we could have put our Humble in front of the Claw. We stay at 3 so that we aren't dead to Reckless Swing. On our turn, we play our Mighty Windup from Arsenal for 7. Kayo needs to block, but if he blocks with 1 card from hand, then he goes to 1, and now he is dead to Reckless Swing. If he gives the Tunic, he's dead to Reckless Swing. Maybe he gives us 2 cards instead to not be dead to Reckless Swing, and now maybe the best that he can do on his turn is a 2-card 7. We're at 3, so we can block with 2 cards and go to 2. I think there is a line either way, but one of them plays to our out of Reckless Swing better. But our decisions have definitely put us behind in this game, where we need to do something drastic. We need to make something happen here. This is unfortunately not the hand to do it. We will block this pack hunt for 6. We aren't just dead, but we would have really liked to keep that Blood Rush and just hope that we could get there with Blood Rush and Tunic. Pulping here, coming for 6, is going to threaten Kayo. He very likely gives us 4 blocks so that he stays at 3 and isn't dead to Reckless Swing. We don't have it. He rolls Scabs, which, considering our life total, makes me a little suspicious that he has Reckless Swing. This is a line that I used last week if you watched my Bolton video, which is you roll Scabs. You really hope that you roll a 1, because you can't just pass the turn. If you just pass the turn, then you are very strongly broadcasting that you have Reckless Swing, which I guess could potentially lead to some weird situation where now both players just pass the turn until you go to time and draw. I'm not sure how that would work if the game state is not changing because both players have a Reckless Swing. A judge would have to tell me that, but very strongly broadcasting that he has Reckless Swing, and we can see that he played it from Arsenal, which means he did have it in that last hand. Still a very close game. We were still very close on average value per turn, considering that our opposing Kayo got 2 full value cast bones and we got none. I also don't recall that we had a really good Blood Rush Bellow. We had a good Blood Rush Bellow, but it wasn't one of the nuts ones. So I wouldn't say this game was played too poorly by us. Definitely a learning experience. Continuing our theme from yesterday of me undervaluing the power of cast bones and not treating it like a 1-card 6 with Go Again. We definitely could have played out our turn cycles better and gotten our cast bones value. The biggest thing I noticed in rewatching this game is how we gave our armor too quickly. Kayo is going to give us opportunities to block with armor. He isn't Runeblade, where we sit on our armor too long and then die to arcane damage with armor still available for blocking. We're gonna get our block value, so we don't need to feel like we need to block early so that we don't get punished later. Something to consider with Bonebreaker is our opponent's armor situation combined with any send packings or command and conquers we have in hand. If we are in a situation where we need to push our disruption up to a 7 or 8 power breakpoint to get over armor and cards from hand, then it is worth considering an early Bonebreaker block. But overall, in this game, we definitely blocked with it too early. Not correctly valuing cast bones was a big mistake, but if we could have blocked out the command and conquer on the turn before we played our Blood Rush to keep a Wild Ride in Arsenal, then maybe this game looks different. Maybe we can threaten lethal, or at least take Kayo off of being able to put us dead to Reckless Swing. At this point, we'll never know, but really good to evaluate and find these value leaks now so that we don't do them late. I do hope you learned something from this video, or at least enjoyed it. If so, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for questions or feedback. If you haven't done so, I would ask again to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free, it helps me out a lot, but whatever you do, don't miss tomorrow's episode of Daily Kayo Gameplay. And until then, take care.